Good evening, EDU 500 students. This is a quick video to provide some updates as we enter week 11 of this course and our most recent modules um, that are sort of the last modules in this section on designing a research proposal, which are focused on reviewing the literature, designing research questions, and aligning research methods. So the assignment that most of you are completing or have completed recently is the section on reviewing the literature and completing a literature review. I know that many of y'all have been working on this across the semester in terms of your studies. So I'll be providing some feedback on those lit reviews. I've mentioned before that lit reviews, are a genre in and within themselves. Lit reviews are tricky documents. So I'm being very liberal and open-minded in terms of my expectations for your lit review. I've provided you with a template for how you might organize your literature review, but I also know that again, that this is a genre in and of itself, and one gets better at crafting a lit review over time. So I'll be providing some suggested feedback for refining those literature reviews as I receive them, but know that that I recognize that they are challenging to craft. And the most important part to get from a lit review is that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Stand on the shoulders of giants. So what I mean there is that those other folks, those other scholars, those other teacher researchers who have looked at similar questions that you are examining right now, um, we depend on what they've said about this topic in order to design our own studies. So I'm really looking to see how you've incorporated their thinking into your own research design, and giving you some pointers on how to sort of make what you've learned about those previous studies as succinct as possible, and knowing that this is an ongoing process of sort of getting better at saying what other people have said. So with that, the next two modules in this, the next two sections in this module are designing research questions and aligning research methods. I've opened both of those modules with all the details for the assignments for those modules. So designing research questions is the next assignment, and that is due next week, April 9th. The reading is open and the assignment is open. So I'll spend a little bit of this video sort of talking through that that task and what that work involves. So all of you have crafted some form of research questions to align with your study. And just to be succinct, I want to clarify that first of all, there are many ways to conduct a teacher research study that is appropriate for the expectations of this department and for this course, and then for those of you who are going on to the next course, meets the requirements, the expectations for that work. So you could be conducting a qualitative study or a quantitative study or a mixed method study. All of those are appropriate, and I want to support you in conducting either one of those types of studies, creating a research proposal that supports those studies. But there's some core principles or guidelines that are important for any type of study that you conduct, and all of the work that we've discussed thus far has been not focused on just qualitative research, and I recognize that I'm a qualitative researcher, so I often talk about qualitative methods and qualitative research design, but to be clear, all of our work is about what it takes to just be a good researcher. So that all applies. So some of those criteria for what it means to just create a good research question are about the relevance of your question, the manageability of your question relative to the design that it leads to, the substance and the originality of your question, the clarity and simplicity of your question, and the interest of your research question. So as you're reading Cresswell for this week, that is chapter 7, you're going to choose the section of Cresswell that is most relevant to your research design, so quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods design. Cresswell organizes chapter 7 around those 3 sections. Read the section that applies to the type of study that you're going to conduct, and then you'll work on crafting a research questions that are most appropriate for that design. So I've created a research question assignment that is to support you in thinking about the question that you've created thus far, and then refining that question so that it aligns with the rest of your study. So there are 3 parts to this assignment. Actually, there are 2 parts of this assignment. The first part is to engage in a reflection, and then the second part is to make sure that you're aligning your research question. So in the first part of the assignment, I'm asking you to write a reflection. And in that reflection, I'm asking you to consider where you're going to conduct this study, how will you gain access. I'm asking you to think about the issues of ethics and how you might negotiate both access and ethics. What are you going to do about obstacles to accessing your question and to engaging in your study? And then what are some of your expectations about data collection? In my own experience as a researcher, those are sort of unexpected experiences that are really important for us to consider in terms of our research design. And so what I'm asking you to do now is to anticipate those obstacles, because they are likely to occur, and to think about how you might refine your research question in anticipation of those obstacles. The second question asks you to think about your timeline and the realism of conducting this study relative to your timeline. So for those of you who are moving on to EDU 544 next semester, think about how you're going to conduct this study within that context. There's material that you'll need to read for that course and prepare for that course, and then moving on to data collection. So what would be feasible in the course of a semester? For those of you who are working on a thesis study, how might you engage in that work to prepare for a thesis? And for those of you who are going to conduct this work as part of a larger project in your schools, what are the contexts that are surrounding engaging in that work? The last question that I'm asking you to reflect upon and write about are the skills and the knowledges that you already bring to engaging in the research task. And by that, I mean engaging in the methods necessary to answer the questions or to address the goals of your research questions. So, what do you know about interviews? Do you like engaging in interviews? How are you going to be able to transcribe interviews if you decide to go that route? What do you know about conducting surveys? What do you know about designing surveys? What are you going to do with the results of those surveys if you are engaging in quantitative analysis? Here again, Cresswell provides us with some support about engaging in that work, and I know some of you are committed to a quantitative research design, which I fully support. So how are you going to apply those prior knowledges um, to synthesizing the data that you collect? So make sure that you articulate sort of what you know and how you're going to apply what you know to the analysis of the study. And then finally, the last section, so you're going to answer those questions in a reflection, and then you'll notice on D2L I've created a little chart to help you align all those considerations in one place. So that is your research question, your data sources to answer those research question, that research question or those research questions, the methods that you'll engage in to collect the data, the skills that you'll apply to the analysis of that data and resources that you'll draw from to analyze that resource data. And also we're going to think back to the beginning of class and think back to ethical concerns in terms of the research that we conduct. So one thing to sort of keep in mind is the requirements, the institutional requirements that we're expected to fulfill when conducting or engaging in research that involves people, particularly that involves people whom are considered part of a vulnerable population, so that includes children. And so what might be some of those concerns that you have to make sure that you consider in your proposal and prior to starting the data collection process. So in this assignment, you'll submit both your response to questions A, B, and C that I have listed out, and as well as your document, your little chart for each research question that you'll use in your study. So my hope is that engaging in the exercise of reflecting on those three questions will help you refine your research question and really consider how you will engage in a study that is manageable, that is relevant, that is substantive, that is clear and simple, that is interesting, and that you can apply for your research proposal. And that would fulfill the requirements for this assignment. And that's sort of all that's asked for you for this next module. And I'll add here that for those of you who are interested in moving ahead, then the module on research methods, which is called Aligning Research Methods, is also available, is posted on D2L. There is some background information, and the sections that are required in your research proposal are here. Those apply to either a quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods study, and there are chapters from Cresswell, the course text, that align with either a quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method study. So any of those studies are possible, and within those studies, the outline that's provided in the Aligning Research Methods section is appropriate. I'll provide another video next week that goes through those sections in a bit more detail, but I wanted to just sort of provide in advance the this assignment so that those of you who want to move ahead can do so. I'm in my providing feedback to all of you all. I'm happy to read the section that is assigned, and as well as the entire, if folks have made some revisions based on feedback to the entire draft, I'm happy to read that as well and get feedback on an entire proposal as we move along. We're moving towards obviously much more independent work. Folks are at different places in their study, so as much as you send along my way, I'm happy to review. And lastly, I'm office hours by schedule or by appointment are I'm more than happy to talk with you about the work that you're engaging in. We can meet in person, we can meet via phone, we can meet via Skype. So feel free to contact me to set something up or to confirm that you're meeting during office hours. As we enter into these last few weeks, I want to support you as much as possible and make sure that you're sort of left with we finish strong and that there are not many questions about what's left. We're refining these proposals, and we're going to do some last revisions, some last edits, and then on the last day of class, you'll present your studies in small groups. So my perspective right now is that folks are doing very, very well in terms of crafting their proposals and employing the feedback to revise. So I have no concerns that folks will complete the course very, very successfully. But if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you are interested in thinking ahead, sort of anything that I haven't addressed in my feedback to the group or in my feedback to you as individuals, please, please, please come and talk to me. I don't want any unresolved questions as we get to the end of this semester. And I, as a teacher, as a professor, as faculty, I don't know what those questions are. So I can anticipate what some of them are, but I don't know for sure. So I want to make sure that I address your concerns as as thoroughly as possible. So there are no questions about what to do, and that you are clear about my expectations. Again, folks are doing good, so I have no worries that we're meeting all the learning objectives for the course and that you're well prepared to move to the next course and then to sort of go above and beyond in terms of conducting educational research. But I'm happy to provide some further clarifications and reassurances so that you also feel that way. So pabon@kutztown.edu is the best way to reach me, and look forward to reading your literature reviews, and I'll talk to you soon in person or virtually. Thank you.